Welcome to Sunday Somethings, the show whose host magically turned into an amplifier. I know it's a sad day because you'll never see my beautiful face again, but you'll get used to it, just like how I've gotten used to this. It's nice, it's calming, it's comforting. Unfortunately, that was all a joke, it was all a ruse. You've been fooled. I still am a human, I'm not an amplifier. But think about how nice it would be if you did get turned into a guitar amplifier. You get to sit around all day doing pretty much nothing, and then the some things that you do is just screaming. Seems really nice to me. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about the one and only amplifier you need as a small artist or band. And I can hear two distinct voices saying, "But Jacob, that's a bold claim to be making. How do I know that you're trustworthy? What are your qualifications?" And that is an excellent question, one of which you should be asking every content creator that says you need something. But I answer very simply. I own the amplifier, which means that I've used the amplifier a decent bit. And I also play in a band that has used this amplifier and very similar amplifiers multiple times live. That band, of course, being Florence Boulevard, of which you should follow on Instagram and listen to our music, because that'd make me very happy. The amp I'm talking about, of course, the amp that I'm sitting on, is the Boss Katana. The one that I have specifically is the Gen 2 50 watt version, but this video will apply to any of the katanas, with the only exception being the mini, I think, whatever the small lunchbox looking one is. That doesn't apply as much just because that's definitely targeted towards just practice, not a live setting. But anyways, why do I even like the amp in the first place? Well, it's made by Boss, who's owned by Roland, and Roland makes really good stuff. I really want a Roland E-kit one day. If somebody at Sweetwater wants to just send me one for free, that'd be nice. Or if Roland wants to sponsor a video, that would also be very nice. They're probably not going to see this, but it's worth a shot. I don't know if you've heard of this niche band called Nirvana, but they used a Boss pedal for a majority of their career, the Boss DS1, which I think is the most famous distortion pedal of all time. They also make a bunch of other workhorse pedals, like the Boss Digital Delay was used on Sex Tape by Deftones, I think, and they've made one of the most famous and probably best tuner pedals of all time. I don't really know how true that is, but the fact that when I look up tuner pedal, a Boss TU3 pops up immediately, it has to mean something. But let's talk about the amp itself. Why am I claiming that it is the only amp that you need as a beginner band or artist? It's very simple. It's a very versatile amp. Compared to other amps that really need to rely on external pedals, this one has everything built in. You have 5 different amp characters that you can choose from and 55 different choices of various effects, including distortion, different modulations, different delays, different reverbs. But Jacob, I hear the two voices say again, 55 effects, only 5 amp characters? That's nothing compared to the Line 6 Fender Mustang Positive Grid Spark line of amps. Why is this better than those? And I'll give you a simple answer. The rest of them are bad. I personally don't like the Mustang software. I think it's very hard to get a good tone with it quickly compared to the Katana. All knobs at 12 o'clock sound fantastic on any guitar. And as long as you know just a little bit about how amps even work in the first place and what tone you're trying to go for, you can achieve that with the Katana without having to go through 6,000 different menus and go through 60 different amplifiers with different names to avoid copyright. Also, this doesn't rely on an app with an asterisk because kind of does. I'm mainly calling out Positive Grid here, which I haven't tried any of their amps, and after writing the bullet point list for this video, I really want to, honestly. But the main issue that I have with Positive Grid, at least from an outsider's perspective, all of their amps rely on an external application that you have to have on your phone or on your computer in order to get the full amp experience. Now, the Katana has a very similar thing. I think it's called like Boss Control Hub or something. But you could still get away with not using the app at all, which I think is a huge positive compared to Positive Grid. But Jacob, I hear the two voices say once more, maybe a third, I'm not sure. What about amps made from companies like Orange and Peavey and Marshall? You know, companies that specialize in making amp heads and cabinets. Those ones have to be good for the same price range as Boss, right? Since they already have the reputation and the buildup of artists, they can just slap their name on anything and people will buy it, thinking that it'll get the same sound as their favorite guitarist. Usually doesn't. And even if you can get close, you have to buy hundreds of dollars worth of effects pedals, and at that point, you could have just bought an amp head and cabinet and been way happier. So why am I making this video in the first place? Am I trying to sell you something? Do I even know what I'm talking about? Plead the fifth on the last question, but no, I'm not necessarily trying to sell you anything. I just think that the Boss Katana is a good amp, and I think that there are way too many small bands that spend either way too much or way too little on gear. Way too much, of course, being a 4x12 cabinet with a $1,200 amp head and 16 different pedals, and the way too little is a hand-me-down PV amp with a used distortion pedal that is made by a company that doesn't exist anymore. The Boss Katana is just a good amp. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say outside of that. It's good for the price. It can get you very far. Always wear protection and stay hydrated. Thank you for watching.